Now, just a little warning before we begin. There will be major spoilers in this video for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power series on Amazon, the first 2 episodes. So if you have not seen them yet and you don't want anything ruined, it is a really good time to click away. Okay, so first of all, I'll say that I'm a big fan of Tolkien. I am not a super fan, as in I know absolutely every piece of lore, like I might for Star Wars. Not that I know every piece of lore for Star Wars either, but I mean, I'm a huge fan. I'm not, I wouldn't say I know everything.
Well, I wouldn't call myself 100% casual. I have seen the 3 Lord of the Rings movies. I have seen the 3 Hobbit movies. But I have also read the Lord of the Rings book. I have a giant, beautiful edition.
Yeah, you do have a nice copy of it.
And I have read The Hobbit multiple times as well. Read both of them multiple times. So I'm not 100% casual, but I am definitely haven't read further than the main original.
Yeah, the stuff that a lot of people have kind of partook in. Okay, so let's open up. What did you think of these first 2 episodes?
Well, as someone who doesn't know the lore 100%, I can't see a lot of the faults that a Tolkien purist or someone who's much more versed in the lore would see. So I think overall I came back with a good experience. I enjoyed it. I feel almost weird saying that with how much backlash it's had coming up. I enjoyed it. I mean, the
goal here is to be honest, because yes, there's obviously been a lot of talk and a lot of 2 camps, basically. The people who are dead set on hating it because it's not, I mean, they've basically acknowledged it's not going to be 100%, accurate to Tolkien. It's going to be modernized, and there's a lot of things. We don't have to discuss all that. And then there's the camp that's, of course, just automatically going to like it because there are certain people who just, want to like something and are going to like it no matter what.
I generally liked it. It doesn't mean I didn't find flaw.
No, I think there was, to be completely as unbiased as possible, I think there are certainly flaws in it. And I think there were certainly things that I'm like, well, that is impressive. I mean, visually, pretty stunning. I mean...
Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get nitpicky, there are certain things I saw. I'm like, that could have been better. But overall, in general, very, very impressive visually.
One thing I really did not like about the show was kind of the method of storytelling. They're doing kind of like how when you read George R. R. Martin and every story switches character perspective, switches stories. As soon as you get really invested in one, they're like, and cut, take you somewhere else, continue that storyline. And they did that a lot. And as soon as I start really getting invested and wanting to know what's happening in one group, they would swap me to a new group. So they're telling a lot of different story threads at once. So it's really hard to grasp what their overall picture is yet, what the overall plot is 100% yet. It feels disjointed in that method.
Well, I kind of agree and disagree. I mean, I agree that jumping all over the place, I'm not a fan of that. Game of Thrones made it popular to just, jump from place to place and have all these different characters and this whole intricate giant world, and it seems like everybody wants to copy that. But I think the story is almost too on the nose. It's like, Sauron bad, Sauron gonna come back, Yeah, we know that. We know that. Pretty much any level of fan is going to realize, yes, this is supposed to, be a prelude or prequel to The Lord of the Rings, and Sauron bad and gonna come back. And they almost focus a little bit too much, especially Galadriel and her just utter obsession.
Maybe we should talk about the individual storylines and talk what we liked and didn't like about them.
Okay.
We'll start with your new girl there, Galadriel.
She's not my new... Well, I guess she is a new girl. Her
story.
That is not the Galadriel from the books. She's not obsessed with finding Sauron. Her brother Finrod, who's the one we see in the first scene, not obsessed with finding Sauron. He basically does die to Sauron's forces. He dies to some werewolves. So there is that. I mean, there is a connection there. It's not that there's no connection, but he never made some sort of vow to find Sauron and to defeat him. And Galadriel never takes up this vow. So I'm also curious where Galadriel's husband is. Celeborn?
Maybe she hasn't married him
She
yet?
marries, he's already married to him, and she's going to sail to the west without, I guess, saying goodbye to him for now or anything.
She came off really abrasive, which was sad, because I liked her in the original Lord of the Rings story. Yeah. She was really abrasive and obsessed to the point of crazed.
Yes.
The fact that she is willing to sacrifice the lives of all of the people who are with her because she is singularly focused on finding Sauron and obsessed at the fact that he must be in the north. He's in the north. And then throughout the show, we kind of get hints that maybe he's not in the north in the first place.
Yeah.
But she just seemed a little nuts, and I'm hoping that maybe along this journey she learns something and tones herself down. Because
she has to.
She's running at an 11 this whole time.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Her character is just angry, focused on Sauron. That's just the character so far. And sure, that can work, but I think it's just too much to the point of just utter obsession and almost insanity.
Well, we have to learn more about this new guy she's hanging out with, Halbrand.
Yeah, he is not...
Why he saved her. And...
Well, I mean, she never sails west to, and jumps off the boat. That is not in the lore at all. So, I mean, I kind of found that just... I mean, I thought the scene was beautiful, how they about to sail into the, the Undying Lands and all these things and going home. And, it looked great. And then it's like, well, she's literally going to jump off the ship in the middle of the... What's the next step? You're going to swim back to shore?
Her anger guides her. She would be a great Sith right now.
Oh, my God, yeah.
She's all anger.
It was just, that was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that just showed her insanity level got, taken up another notch when you jump off a ship in the middle of the ocean and think you're going to swim back to shore.
And then she runs into the shipwreck crew.
Yep.
And they don't want to let her on a boat, and then...
Yeah, I don't... Because she's an elf.
They get attacked immediately, and then she's on a boat with Halbrand, and he saves her life.
Yes.
Even though he doesn't seem to like her at first.
No. Well, we don't know what the deal with him is going to be.
He's a mystery box right now, so...
Yeah, there's a lot
I have to reserve judgments on him. He is a secretive mystery box kind of guy. Originally, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if that was like Sauron, and he saved her?
He does... Well, I mean, Sauron takes the form of basically an elf in this age. He kind of, hey, we're all friends now. He tries to deceive them that way. So I don't think this is Sauron. I have no idea who this guy is. I heard I heard a rumor that this was supposed to be him, and I'm like, I don't think that's how that's going to go down at all.
Why would he be shipwrecked in the middle of the ocean in the first place?
Yeah,
without any orcs, just a bunch of humans. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All right, next storyline. Let's do Elrond.
Elrond was...
I liked Elrond.
I liked Elrond and Durin. That was probably
it.
the best part of the show so far.
So cute.
I really like Durin. Khazad-dûm looked fantastic. Their friendship was good.
I love the scene. I almost teared up a little bit when he was trying to be like, we were friends and it's a blink of an eye, 20 years for you, but I got married and I have kids and you weren't there and you're my friend.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it was good. It was good. It was touching. It was actually the only time I really felt all that vested in the characters and kind of got emotional, I would say.
They had real chemistry, the two of them, as friends. I really believed it. And I know she was a big contention point, Disa. Yeah. I enjoyed her character. I thought she felt very organic and natural, her with Durin.
She portrayed a dwarf well.
Oh, and we saw Mithril as well.
Yes, alluding to the fact that eventually one day they're going to dig too deep and...
Durin's Bane.
Yes, they're going to wake the Balrog that we see in...
Balrog.
Yes. Oh. I'm sad we didn't see any more I mean, we got the glimpse of the First Age. We could have seen some Balrogs riding dragons. Instead, we kind of saw like the Nazgul's mounts. Essentially, I can't think of their names right now. Forgive me. We didn't really see any... It could have been a little bit more epic. Maybe they couldn't do that because that's more Silmarillion territory and other things that they don't own. Because let me tell you that the First Age was just kind of compressed into like, we sailed east, big fight. That was it. When there's a lot of things, there's a lot of different battles. A whole continent basically sinks into the ocean. A lot of things happened. It just kind of got skimmed over. I think for the sake of not trying to confuse casual fans, and because we don't have the rights to a lot of these things.
What did you think about Gil-galad, the king?
That's fine so far. I mean, he's barely had any,
I know, he's kind of just been there, doing his thing.
Doing the High King of the Elves, yeah.
What about Celebrimbor?
I liked him so far. I mean, again, there's been little tastes. We didn't really see much of him.
You saw that Easter egg, and I didn't understand it.
Oh, with the forging of the Silmarils, yeah.
Yeah, the hammer that
I didn't even know if they were going to be able to talk about those, to be honest with you. I mean, they're kind of the big kind of, I don't want to say MacGuffin, but they're the big thing of the First Age. And then all three of them kind of get, well, I don't want to say lost, but there's basically a group of elves that kind of swear to retrieve them after Morgoth steals them, and kind of lead to tragedy and war. And well, that's the first age in a nutshell.
Oh. Okay, let's move on to another set of characters that are new. Arondir, Bronwyn, and most likely their son, Theo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's their son, right?
It's gotta be. Oh, because they made such a big deal about it. You don't know who your dad is. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole part, I don't understand.
I'm confused about,
There's nothing, unless I'm forgetting something or don't know something. Again, forgive me, I'm not 100% expert. I don't know where this ties into anything. I think they're supposed to be in Mordor.
Is that what the Southlands is? Is Mordor?
Well, the Southlands is not. The Southlands is something different, and they can also be called like the Darklands, which I'm not surprised they're not using that word, because that's way to that's like a different continent essentially. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think if I remember the map, I think they showed this in Mordor, which Mordor right now would still be a pretty bad place. It's always been a pretty bad.
These people apparently all have bad blood, which is why the elves were watching them.
Yeah.
Because they were all descendants of people who were loyal to Morgoth.
Yeah, and Sauron.
Wow. Elves really hold grudges. These people are descended from the people who are like, yeah, Morgoth, fine.
Yeah, that one line, I think, is the one that kind of maybe, one of the lines that kind of stood out to me the most, when he was like, oh, it's not a matter of their past, they're still those people, or whatever he said. I'm like, well, geez, I mean, the first age is now a while ago. Like, they're not.
Elves are very close-minded, is what I've learned.
Well, then you had the random kid in the bar, like the Return of their King or whatever, and he's not talking about Aragorn. I don't know who he's talking about. I don't know if he was actually referring to like Morgoth or Sauron at that point. Well, and even, I don't know. Like,
even Arondir's like, you don't have a king.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he must be referring to Morgoth, and that they're still like loyal to him all these years later. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and where did Theo find this sword? The broken sword that looked like it must have belonged to Sauron.
Either that, or it's either that or it's like a Morgul blade kind of thing, with the ring wraiths wield. I don't know what that's supposed to be either. Again, maybe it's something in the lore that I'm not remembering.
Magic sword.
Yeah, it's clearly something to
that
do with Sauron.
That we found in a basement.
Yeah, I don't know where but again, I think this is...
They go over it so fast, I didn't even hear where they were when they found it. They were in a barn.
Yeah.
Underground. Coincidentally, there's burrowing underground creatures.
Yeah, there's orcs of some kind, who were quite fearsome in that one...
orcs.
Scene. Yeah, the one scene really made the orcs terrifying.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I give him credit for that. That was another
very well done
good scene or moment in the series.
Yeah. But that kid's got to be important, right? Because his blood was activating the sword. I feel like as soon as the goblin-y orc guy cut the kid and the blood was released, that's when he focused all of his attention crazily on the kid.
Yeah, I think his blood, like I said, is reforging the blade or something. So
he's important.
Yeah.
He's got the blood of the old people who liked Morgoth, who were supporting him or something.
Yes, and he's got
elvish blood.
Yeah.
One thing that was a bit of a loss for me is I really didn't feel the chemistry between Arondir and Bronwyn.
He's a little too stoic.
I have a hard time believing they actually made a child.
Well, maybe they didn't. We could be wrong, but I mean...
It's true.
Just looking at him, the whole, like... And then they covered up his ears, too. Did you notice the haircut he had kind of covered his ears?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems obvious he kind of looks like he would... I mean...
Well, even if they have a relationship at all, he feels so stiff in it.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's a little too stoic and a little too... a little too elvish, I guess.
Too elvish for a relationship.
You're too elvish, my friend.
Yes, all the elves except for Elrond so far seem really stiff.
Yes, Elrond was the only one that kind of had any personality. And like I said, one of the main problems is Galadriel, who was the one we follow the most, is just like, I am the Terminator. I will find Sauron and destroy him.
Stiff, unyielding steel. That is Galadriel.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to what I think might have been one of my favorite storylines.
Really?
The Harfoots.
Really?
I thought they were
oh my goodness.
Adorable.
No.
We got little Nori and Poppy and Meteor Man.
Meteor Man, who I don't know who he's supposed to be at all.
I want to feel he's Gandalf.
Gandalf would not be here in the Second Age.
I know Gandalf shouldn't be here in the Second Age,
I
but
think he's clearly a Maiar. He's clearly...
This works with the connection with how come he's so attached to hobbits. Is these little people come
I
and
get
they
that.
save him. And
Yes, I get all that. I see that, and that's why part of me thinks he's Gandalf, and part of me doesn't think he's Gandalf because the fire wasn't hot. Which, if you remember when they go to that fortress way in the north, I'm not sure what fortress that's supposed to... That might be Morgoth's original fortress, I guess, before Angband, but
the fire
wasn't hot because it was like so evil or something, or so cold. I don't remember what they
right.
said, and then that fire wasn't
There's
hot.
so much like evil and darkness here.
Yeah.
It's pulling the warmth out of torches.
Yeah.
And then the fireflies all died.
Yes.
But where did Sauron go if he's now coming back?
And he comes back as an elf. He tries to kind of weasel his way back into the elves and deceive them. So he's clearly like a human here, or he looks like a human. He's not a human, obviously, but so I don't know what the deal with him is.
I don't want him to be a bad guy.
I actually prefer him to be
Harfoots.
Gandalf because even though that doesn't make any sense, because it would explain why Gandalf loves the hobbits so much, though he just kind of loves them because they're
innocent.
They're the good free folk. And
the free folk, they love the earth. Yeah. They love everything that's good, and they live life, simple, happy lives.
Yeah, that's his more of attraction to the hobbits than I have this experience where they, like,
saved
when I first crashed into the earth, like, they, I don't know, for me, my biggest problem is, and it's not just that I can't get over the fact that there's not supposed to be hobbits in the Second Age, and you can be like, oh, they're not hobbits, they're Harfoots. It just feels like you're trying too hard to do another Frodo or Bilbo with Nari here. It's like, we had to have a story about a hobbit, otherwise it's not Lord of the Rings. Well, here's the thing, like, there's a lot of Lord of the Rings that has absolutely nothing to do with hobbits, so...
That's true.
I don't know. This feels more like the casual audience insert.
And as part of, I guess, the casual audience, I really like Nori and the Harfoots. I think they're cute. I do wonder, though, maybe he is a bad guy of some sorts. He seemed to be almost involved with the fact that her dad broke his foot and may not be able to migrate.
Yeah, which is weird that they like migrating farmers.
It's how they stay alive.
Sure.
I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why they weren't talked about in the original books, is they were so good at hiding.
Well,
they were more of a rumor.
That was implied first scene, right? Like, that was dirty Harfoots or whatever they were talking about. Like, they were like thought to be evil, and
they mentioned them in passing.
Nobody ever sees them, so maybe
they hide so well.
Yeah, so I guess they're trying to explain their existence in the Second Age, but they just never. Though at the same time, they can't do anything significant. Then can they? Nari here can't be the next Frodo. Baggins, if she's, Frodo's obviously a hero of the Third Age. He even gets to go west. So I don't know what you plan on doing with her that would be significant, yet not so significant to be recognized in the annals of history.
I do wonder why Amazon's pushing everyone to call Meteor Man the Stranger.
I don't know. I don't know where.
Is it because they don't want us to like him? Maybe they think Meteor Man endears him to us.
I don't know that calling somebody Meteor Man is endearing.
Stranger sounds more distancing, though.
Yes. I mean, the fire thing told me in the dying fireflies, I'm like, this guy is not supposed to be good. I don't know who you are.
But if he was Sauron, he'd know the language, right?
You would think, because Sauron doesn't, die and then come back.
Why would he be hanging out there? He'd have no reason to be there with the Harfoots. He'd be doing his Sauron things.
It could just be a totally brand... I'm going to guess it's a totally brand new Maiar of some kind. Basically a wizard. I mean, the Maiar... There's lots of different Maiar, but they are also the wizards in the Third Age. Mm-hmm. I mean, Balrogs are technically Maiar as well. Corrupted way back in the day.
Bad Maiar.
Yeah.
What do you think about the singing that they're going to... You talk about how you sing to the stone and it resonates. I thought that sounded really cool because...
I wonder if that was talking about the singing to the stone. I don't remember if that's from the lore. It might be. I have no idea. But how it warned them about places not to go. And I'm wondering if that's going to try to warn them about the Mithril. Not to dig too deep. Yeah.
And this will probably cause contention with Disa and Durin later when
that's what I'm wondering.
She warns him they cannot dig that way, cannot dig too deep, but he gets obsessed with the Mithril and has to.
Yeah. That's what I'm guessing. That's kind of what seems to be a setup for that.
Possibly. All
right, so in general, what did you think? I mean, just general thoughts.
In general, It did what it should do. It made me want to see more. I want to see where this is going. I'm interested in where this is going. So far, there's a good handful of these characters that I really like, and I'm really invested in wanting to know their stories. Galadriel's still too abrasive for me. Arondir, while kind of cool, doesn't have any charisma at all. He's such a blank slate for me right now. He doesn't seem to have any personality other than, I kind of like this girl, but I don't show it very well. I've said I love you in every way, but with words. And he still didn't say he loved her.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
Like I said, it's not horrible. I'm not going to just pan it, but there's a lot. I think the pacing was just kind of, especially the first episode, I just was like, oh my goodness, we're just going to have, There
was a lot of exposition at the beginning.
What you need. I mean, there could have been a ton more, honestly. Like I said, there's the first age is just kind of compressed into like, big battle happened, Sauron escape, and now we have to find him. That's kind of what it gets, compressed into, but I understand why they did that, but there could have been a ton more exposition. I just feel like they may have been better off, instead of sort of rewriting the history, trying to tell your own, to just take an obscure part of the history and just expand that and do a smaller show, if that makes any sense. Instead of trying to cover, like, we're going to cover the whole Second Age in like 5 seasons, even though this is thousands of years, and we're going to like compress it and make it all kind of overlap. Just take one story, get us to know a few characters, and do that. I don't know.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed it because, like I said, I don't know the lore past Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, so there's nothing in here that's conflicting in my mind for me, so it doesn't have any reservations that way. Well, I want to see more of the show, and I want to see where it's going.
You are exactly who the show is made for. People who are not going to... And no offense, and no offense to anybody else out there who doesn't... I mean, like I said, I'm not an expert. I've probably said things in here like, Thor, that's actually not entirely... Yes, I get that. But I think that's who the show is made for. It's made for people who watched The Lord of the Rings 20 years ago or sometime since, who love those movies. They are fantastic movies. They are nearly flawless, other than the few little things, like I always say, Sam leaving Frodo bugs the hell out of me. So, I mean, clearly the series is meant to be that in a series format. It looks like it. It has the feel of it for the most part. It's using some of the same
Howard
characters.
Shore
We have little callbacks of characters saying something similar to what was said there. That's who the show is made for. I don't think it's made for the true hardcore Tolkien purists, unfortunately.
And Tolkien purists who are watching it, you'll have to do what people do with other TV adaptations. You have to separate.
Well, here, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no, because...
You can separate a TV show from their source material. I've had to do it.
Yes, but
with so many of the books and stuff.
Look, I don't want to get into it, but look, there is something to be said about having reverence for something that was created in the past or by someone else. Like, you are taking this and trying to modernize it and trying to sell it to a whole new audience. What it is, and oh boy, and like I understand they purchased the rights. They spent $250 million to tell this story and are spending hundreds of million more to bring it to life. I get that, but there's something to be said to respecting the work of Tolkien, respecting of what came before, instead of just saying, well, it needs to be modernized now. We need to do this, we need to do that to it, because it just can't be, accepted by the modern audience. So,
but these studios don't respect a lot of the source materials.
Well, that's the problem.
Harry Potter, I know it's controversial apparently now, but Harry Potter doesn't follow the source material 100%, and I can still separate them and say I really like the movies. I like the books better, but I really like the movies. Yes,
but when Harry Potter was coming out, they didn't make a statement about that there was something that needed to be updated about the books. They were changed for the sake of bringing the book to the screen. If that's all they had said, if they had told us from the start, like, we're going to try to be as loyal as we can be to Tolkien's work, but please understand, we're taking a massive story and trying to put it on into 5 seasons, so bear with us.
I think that's all they tried to say a little of that in some of the articles I read.
Well, the problem is you've had all the actresses. You've even had the showrunners talk. It needs to have representation. It needs to be a symbol of the modern world. Now Tolkien will be able to be enjoyed by more people. Like, that's kind of that's insulting, I think.
Yeah, I can see
which
that.
Which is not saying you can't have representation. It's not an anti-statement against that. It's simply sometimes something should be sacred as it is and as it was, and you should try as hard as you can to bring his vision, Tolkien's vision, who one of the greatest, fictional authors in the history of this world. He created perhaps the greatest work of fiction ever. And you're saying like, well, we can do, we got to bring it up to modern times and new people need to be able to enjoy it. No, if you can't enjoy it for what it is, then tough, period. Well, I think that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Let the war begin. Tell us what you thought of Lord of the Rings of Power on Amazon. Is this something you're enjoying? Is this something you think is an abomination? Are you somewhere in between? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Lord of the Rings. And until next time, thanks for watching.